Hello everyone! So today I have some more packages from Banggood, and if you've been here before you know I've done a couple of videos featuring art supplies from Banggood. It is a little like Wish kind of. You can get all kinds of cheaper art supplies from there and some other stuff too, of course. I will have links to all the things in this video in the description box below if you would like to check it out yourself. Also, I am so sorry if my nails looks a bit unappetizing today. I know some people care a lot about that. I just dyed my hair, and every time I touch my scalp, which happens way more often than I could ever imagine, my nails gets all red and stained and nasty. So the first thing is this little sketchbook. It has this like canvas or fabric cover, and I picked the color green because I like green, go figure. It has surprisingly thick paper, not super thick, but I think it can be pretty nice to draw on. I love that the corners are rounded, a very nice little detail. The next thing that I thought could be very useful is this pencil case that should have room for 120 pencils. I have this huge set of 120 Faber-Castell Polychromos color pencils, which I would love to use more often, but I don't really like to move around the different trays of pencils, and it takes up a lot of space on my work desk, so I thought I would just move them into a pencil case instead, where I can easily flip through the flippity-flop things. I don't really know what they're called, but you know what I mean. In the next package we have oil pastel and watercolors. The oil pastel crayons comes in a set of 50. I noticed pretty quickly this rattling sound, which isn't really a good thing when you're dealing with fragile crayons. And as you can see, they have had a little party inside the box and they were all over the place. I am a little surprised by myself that I actually picked these crayons because I really don't like messy art supplies like dry pastel and oil pastel, but I do love to try out new things, so I thought, why not? I have to face my fears at some point. First I thought the brand name of the watercolors was Symbolion or something fancy like that, but when I saw the little paw print inside of the O, I figured it must be Simba Lion, which is kind of cute. And this is a set of 36 colors, and it comes with what looks like a marker and a very sad paintbrush. Oh, look at it! The pen seemed to be a permanent marker. It certainly smells like one, which isn't a bad thing really, but I noticed on the back of the watercolor case it says 3+, which I believe is a suitable for kids ages 3 and up symbol, and please correct me if I'm wrong because I can't understand the language, but if I'm right, why include a permanent marker that also has small parts like caps and such if it is suitable for such small children? But what do I know? I don't have kids. So let's try all these things out. I first made a little weird doodle in the sketchbook just to see how well the pages could hold the ink, and it looks like even if I used a pretty juicy pen, the ink isn't really bleeding through, but you can still see the doodle through the page though. So the watercolors, just by looking at them, I can see it looks just like the cheap kids watercolors that I had when I was little, which is totally fine, you can still enjoy them, but they are not artist quality, which I was aware of when I chose them, because I like to try out different supplies and show here on this channel, no matter the quality, because not all people want or can afford the more expensive ones. They are very chalky though, and it kind of reminds me a little of gouache because some of them are very covering, or opaque rather, but then some of them turns out very streaky and not opaque at all. I'm just gonna swatch the oil pastels too, and then I'm gonna make some art with them. So my first impression is that they feel very soft and creamy. You don't need to add much pressure to get them very covering, and they also look fairly pigmented, which is good. Also, please have in mind that I've never really used oil pastels before. I've used dry pastel, but it isn't really the same thing at all. As you can see, just by swatching them, it made my fingers all dirty, and then I will touch other things and they will get dirty, like a smudgy, messy chain reaction. So I'm first testing the watercolors, and I was thinking of combining both the oil pastels and the watercolors, but you know, oil and water don't usually mix very well. I could probably have layered them, starting with the watercolors and then the pastel on top of that, but I guess I just wanted to make more art. I've been feeling very creative lately and I just want to draw and draw. So the colors looks pretty nice and vibrant when they're wet, and they do apply quite nicely too. They dries a bit matte and chalky though, which gives the art this pastel look kind of. I didn't find them very difficult to use, so I can imagine these being quite nice for beginners and kids. I would recommend getting a better paintbrush though than the one coming with the set, because it was a little bushy, so I ended up just using one on my own. Yeah, I know I'm drawing a lot of cats, okay, but I just can't help it. They're so fun to draw and there are so many ways to draw them. I like drawing them with these long ears, and also don't forget to add some plants and galaxy and a crescent moon, that's my jam. I didn't want to outline it all with a marker because it looked a bit bold, so I just used it for the face of the kitty. Then the rest I just outlined in a dark purple and green with the watercolors. I think it turned out pretty nice, to be honest, even if the paints have a bit of a weird texture in some spots. So now the oil pastels. I use this paper that should be great for color pencils and dry pastels, so I figured it could be nice for oil pastels too. I can't remember the name of the brand there, so I will have to look it up. I had no idea how to use the pastels, so I actually watched a couple of videos to get some ideas how to blend them and all that stuff. There are so many techniques that you can use to get different textures. I also learned that if you want to have more layers, you should start with very light colors and not fill up the tooth or the grain of the paper all at once. So I'm scribbling very lightly, making this gradient background, and I'm building up all the layers. And one of the techniques for blending that they showed in the video that I really appreciated is using a paper towel. Then I don't have to use my fingers to blend the colors, which I was a little afraid of at first and get all dirty. However, this is still a messy process and my hands and finger and workspace area got all stained anyway, but not as much as I was expecting. I first thought that this piece was just gonna be like a warm-up to get the feeling for the supplies, but I actually really loved how this one turned out, so I spent a little more time on it than I was first planning, and once again I surprised myself by actually kind of liking these oil pastels. It was so relaxing to play around and smudge and blend the colors and adding more layers. I liked how spontaneous it felt. I didn't do any sketching or planning before starting on this piece. These are some really cheap pastels, and cheap doesn't necessarily mean bad, so I don't know how real artist quality pastels would feel like, but these ones felt very soft, which I know is a good quality for pastels to have, and they're also fairly pigmented and they layered and blended nicely. I really like how this little scene turned out. I know the lighting is a bit off though, but I love how the water turned out. It is like a little pond in the foreground, if you didn't notice, because to me it actually looks like water and the moon and the tree is reflecting in it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know which piece you liked the most. Thanks Banggood for sending me these things to play with, and thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're new here, and click on the little bell icon to get notified every time I post new art and videos, and I will see you next time. Keep drawing my happy cats. Bye!